From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's time to dive into the world of Casper College athletics with another episode of the Casper College Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Phil Kohler.
Welcome fans to the Casper College Coaches Show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, joined as always by the head coach of the Lady Thunderbirds, Coach Ganeri. Coach, a big weekend. Congratulations. You guys moved to 25-5 overall, 11-1 in conference. You clinched the Region 9 North Championship for the seventh time in a row. Back to back to back to back to back to back to back is what the tweet sent out this week was. How did it feel to get that one under your belt?
What a great weekend. I was super proud. There was a lot at stake there, and you know, I thought both of those games were going to be a big challenge. Eastern was sitting number 2 in the North sub-region at the time, and if we lose that one, to be honest, I maybe misspoke even to the team. If we would have lost that one, I think they would have had the tiebreaker. So that one on Friday was humongous, and the kids prepared well for it. They came out and executed the game plan very well, did a great job defensively, and you know, I would have been ecstatic with just any type of win, and then we kind of took control and just gradually pulled away. And to come away with a 20-point plus win on that, with that situation, very happy with that one.
89-66 is the difference, 23 points total. You get double figures from all 5 starters, but Angela Astorga leads the way with 21 off of the bench. You and I have talked off camera about, you know, potentially having her start. Anna Cheney plays so well off the bench, having her start. You really, essentially, you have 7 starters that can really, really go.
Easy, very easily. And I think our team changes when both of those two come in, too. You know, we have a different little bit of an offensive flavor with the way we start it, and then you bring Angela, who can attack the rim really well, has been doing a great job from the free throw line. Anna cuts really well off of back screens and burn screens and those kind of things, and so our offensive tempo and everything kind of changes. So it's luxury having those two coming off.
Well, and Coach, obviously after winning 10 in a row, you guys, it feels like you guys are playing your best basketball of the year. Early on in the season, it didn't seem like you guys rebounded the ball very well, and all of a sudden you guys have flipped the switch in conference play. You're plus 19 on the boards Friday, but I would say the other knock on you guys is that the ball doesn't always move great, and on Friday you guys are credited with 22 assists on 33 made field goals. Talk about how the ball was moving around on Friday.
Well, I think when our pace is good on offense, we don't have a selfish kid on our team. Everybody's willing to share the ball and get the ball to the open shooter. But when our assist drop is when our pace drops, and we don't have the open looks and those kind of things. So I do think Friday night our pace was very good. Our transition was very good, and that kind of gets us started even in our half court. If we don't score in transition, it keeps us going in a half court. So when our pace is good, our team shares the ball really well.
Yeah. Well, and you had said earlier in the season that even though you were averaging 80 points a game, you felt like there were more points out there, and it feels like when you guys are distributing the basketball, those points are starting to fill in.
And I still believe that a little bit, just because from the turnover standpoint, we turn the ball over where I don't know what we're averaging, probably 15, 16 a game, and some of those come in transition, and I'm going to live with it because the plus outweighs the minus on that. But if we can cut 2 or 3 more turnovers for the unforced turnovers, I think there's more points to be had that way.
Absolutely. So then after the game Friday, you guys have clinched the number 1 seed. Really nothing to play for. You guys head down to LCCC on Saturday and beat them 83-63. Yeah. How do you get the kids motivated in a game where you've already clinched, you're kind of already in the barn ready to go?
You know, that's a positive thing about this team. You know, a lot of the motivation comes from themselves. And we all knew that there was also another thing at stake with that game is we were sitting at 17 in the poll, and if you finish the season there and don't win your regional tournament, you have a very good chance or a strong chance to get in that large bid. I don't want to say a very good chance, but a chance. And if we would have lost that to LCCC, we would have probably fell very deep, if not out of the polls, and that would have jeopardized that. But again, I think the kids they like to play basketball, and they're pretty good at just motivating themselves.
Well, and on the flip side, instead of losing that game, like I said, you end up winning by 20. You're up 30 at the end of 3 when you kind of go to your bench, plus 15 on the boards again. You guys end up moving up a spot in the rankings this week to 16. And again, I tell you, one of the things that I've noticed is that we talk about you guys playing your best basketball right now. You guys shoot 47% from the 3. Yeah. Again, it was kind of a bit of a concern early in the season, and it really seems like you've got some kids that are figuring that out.
Not to jinx it, you know, I don't want to do that. But that is, if there's probably a couple pleasant surprises there. But how well we've shot it this year, and our offensive overall offensive output has been very, very pleasant surprise a little bit. And our three-point shooting percentage is up this year. Overall percentage is up, and contribute that a lot to the extra shooting that our team gets in. Coach Macy does, but
Sure.
I'm very pleased with what our percentages have been.
Absolutely. Well, and now, Coach, let's talk about you guys again 7 times in a row, the Region North champions. What goes into something like that? You've got different teams every single year, but you're still having that success on a yearly basis. Tell us what goes into that.
I think we have a pretty good formula of what it takes to be successful in the Region 9. I will say that everybody is becoming more and more talented. We have some tremendous coaches in the North, so it's definitely an honor and a great achievement to win it any single year. But I think we have a little bit of an expectation on what we need to do defensively and offensively. I think our program, we try to stay consistent. The players change. The athleticism will change some, but I think there's some core values that to be successful, you have to be good at certain things, and so we try to stick to them. Another thing that's not just a mistake here, but Coach Macy's been part of that, all 7 of those, and again, working with Coach Macy and everything that he's brought to our program. I'm going to throw it in here. We've talked here. You're kind of a baseball person, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what WAR is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wins above replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I brought this up. I said, Coach Macy, you're a 5 WAR. a wins above. He had no idea. Hey, I tell Coach Parks has no idea. We got to get some baseball knowledge in our office. But getting back to Coach Macy, he is significantly a big reason why those are 7 in a row.
Absolutely. Well, and I guess I need to spend some more time around, and if nothing else, you and I can talk baseball, and they'll pick it up by osmosis.
They can, osmosis. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just astonished.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know what WAR is?
Of course, yeah. No, well, and to your point, I mean, you talk about the consistency in the program. Do you guys have, I saw Shaka Smart the other day doing an interview, and he was talking about this 23-page packet that he has, that he sends all of his recruits that talk about the culture of the program and the expectations so that they know what they're getting into when they come in. Do you guys have anything like that?
We do have a recruiting packet that it more promotes our program success, our individual player success, and those kind of things. We address those things in the recruiting process. Yeah. I think both Coach Macy and I are as upfront and honest as we can about our expectations, because we'd never want somebody to come in under some type of false pretense, and then get here and be miserable and those kind of things. So we try to do that in the recruiting process, and then in our very first fall meetings, we really try to stress, what our program expectations are on the court, off the court, et cetera.
Well, it seems like you've done a great job, and we've talked about it at length on this show about having your sophomores really set that expectation and those standards. And so instead of giving a document, it seems like those are the kids that are out there and dictating what the culture of the program is.
That's way more important than a piece of paper.
Yeah.
If you have people buying in, or your sophomores buying in and understanding what it is, it's more than what I tell them, and it's more than what's on a piece of paper. So, true point.
Well, Coach, you talk about the consistency in your program over the last 7 years, but also I know that every team is unique, and I know this is a question you've been dreading. What's unique about this team as compared to teams in the past?
It is, the standard one would be the youth that we have in our program from an X's and O standpoint, but we do have some unique personalities. You could probably label some of our kids in different areas. I'd mention, Logan Alvar would be our organizer, and she's probably one of our most unique organizers that we had. She is on top of things all the time, and not just on the court, but off the court.
Yeah.
We have some personalities that, they have a good sense of humor. Shenya is from Spain, and she's one of our role players, but she's the one that I have my own unique sense of humor, and she might be the only one on the team that might catch it. So I appreciate that. But their personalities, and the thing I do like about them too is I see them interacting with different groups. It's not an isolated group, so they mix a lot.
That's so cool. And for me, getting a chance to do 94 feet with a handful of the girls this year was great for me to get a chance to see some of their personality and hopefully be able to show it on this show a little bit as well.
Absolutely, yes.
So, Coach, now looking ahead to the Region 9 tournament, you guys have a 2-week layoff. How do you keep the girls prepared for that? Especially you guys are playing so well right now. How do you keep that momentum going to 2 weeks from now?
We met yesterday in, kind of our pre-tournament meeting, and we discussed it, and they get it. These 2 weeks are a huge bonus. They're a luxury for us if we attack it right. We get an opportunity to start kind of speculating on what might unfold in our bracket, and we can prepare for game 1, game 2, game 3, possibly a little bit, and those kind of things. There's always the risk of not playing a game in that long period of time, but it is what it is. If we want to be fearful of what that is, let's use it to prepare. Yesterday was our first practice, and without a game in 10, 12 days, outstanding.
Good.
Kids were ready to play. This group's focused, and I appreciate that. So I think we're going to use that time the best.
Well, coming into a tournament where you play 3 games in 3 days, what's the preparation look like for that? I mean, obviously you don't want to look ahead too much, but you certainly have to kind of have out of the corner of your eye, your next opponent and potentially an opponent on Saturday night.
Well, it's similar to what last week was like, and that's why last week you didn't like playing back-to-back with 2 big games, huge games, both on the road. But it was very similar. Okay, we got to prepare the most for night 1, and then if we're in a good spot, we can go to night 2, and that's what we're able to do. And probably, having 12 days, we will definitely be as organized as we can for 1, and probably can get deep into 2 again. And then game 3, there's a lot of speculation in what game 3 could be, but you might be able to sprinkle something in there on game 3. So you make sure you take care of business for day 1. Also, you got to stay in shape, and that's thing, and I brought that up in the meeting yesterday, conditioning, you got to look at this the right way, but we need to have some after practice conditioning and those kind of things. We got to stay in shape, and then you have to focus on us. We got to spend time on us as well.
Yeah. Well, and looking ahead, looking at probably McCook or Lamar as your first round opponent, is the plan to spend more time kind of keeping an eye on the teams in the South since you've seen everybody in the North twice now?
Absolutely, because we have information, a lot of information on the teams from the North, just being more recent games than what we did in the South. So that will definitely be the emphasis. We will, again, it's either going to be McCook or Lamar, like you said, and then they're going to play. Most likely, or they will, the winner of that will play Otero. We played Otero early in December, but, I think we'll spend more time on Otero if we get the advantage of looking at game 2 or thinking we might have a chance to get there. So, yes, to answer your question, yes.
Absolutely. Well, and Coach, last question for you. You've got this tournament coming up. You guys have won 10 games in a row. How do you teach 18, 19-year-old kids to have that sense of urgency to know that, hey, if we lose this could be it for us?
And just that. It gets to be a long season, but once you get closer to the end, the reality that there is going to be an end is really close. If I'm talking about that in November and December, it's February and March is a long ways away, but I think the reality is there. I think this group likes to play together, and they want to take advantage of every opportunity and extend it. So, again, I think we talked earlier, I think this group's a lot of self-motivated, and I think that's part of it going into the postseason here.
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks from now, we get a chance, you guys lucky enough to host.
Yes.
We get a chance to watch. Hopefully you guys play 3 games, come away with 3 wins, and start looking ahead towards that national tournament. So, Coach, we haven't decided yet about a show next week. We will hopefully let fans know here soon. Looking at maybe doing something a little bit different.
Okay,
but,
all right.
At some point, we will be back together and hopefully talking about a couple of victories.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, fans, remember, always shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound. Thanks for joining us.